So Eric, I was hosted by you and Sylvain and your mayor a couple of weeks back when I was in your town. And we just had a session on economic fitness. And it just dawned on me, if there's anybody going to be economically fit, it's your town. It's a Hercules of communities. I've got to say, I was very impressed. I arrived from La Défense in Paris. This is a community that's actually physically in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower. I think at one point the Eiffel Tower shadow touches your boundary. And so, you know, it's that close, and yet it's very different. It's a city that looks and feels very different from another French community. And I think it has to do with a thing that you call the American street. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, we have the economical development. It's the heart of our strategy. It's why we are so involved in IT since so many years with Mayor Santini. And our objective was to attract, of course, a lot of business, and a lot of business from the new century, and a lot of American companies, because you are in the center of the economical development in the world. And it was very interesting for us to have in our territory some companies like 15 years ago it was Compaq, now it's Hewlett Packard, it was Cisco System, it will be in 2 months now Microsoft Europe, and a lot, and Coca-Cola, not all IT companies. We have Coca-Cola, we have Johnson & Johnson, and all these companies are in the same street. It is a street, Rue Camille Desmoulins. Camille Desmoulins is one of the French revolutionaries 200 years ago. But between us, we spoke about this avenue, like the American street. And for the symbol, we changed the name of a place just in front of Hewlett Packard. And the mayor decided to give the name of Lafayette to this place, because for him it was a symbol of the friendship between US and France. And in the next month, in the new place, since just in front of the new headquarters of Microsoft, we will change the name again for this other place, and we will call it Place Rochambeau. Rochambeau, it was the other French general important in your history.
And you have a very interesting demographic. There are 60,000 people that live in Issy, but you actually gain every day a total of 70,000 new people.
Yes, because we are one of the rare cities in France, at least, to have more jobs than inhabitants. So, of course, we are so close to Paris. We are in the Parisian area, so a lot of people of Issy are working outside of Issy, but a lot of Parisians are working in Issy. But we have concretely, during the day, in the week, more people than inhabitants.
Are they all working in the American street companies?
A lot of them, yes. And most of them are working in IT or communication companies, because we have also some press group and a lot of TV channels. So it's mostly in this area.
Well, you're going to add a couple of thousand more people with Microsoft as well.
Yes, Microsoft, they are coming with 1,500 people, new jobs. So of course we are, and in this district, this new district around Microsoft, we are building other new building for offices, but also
talk about this symbiotic relationship that you have
with Orange. But it's not only with Orange. We try to have this kind of relationships with all the IT companies in Issy. But the idea is to say to these companies, you are working on application, and we are the customers. And you are a territory when you can test, you can experiment, because we have a population connected, open to the change, and able to test for you this kind of application. So it's why we are also in advance, because we are among the first in France to test or to have the new technology. For example, We have now one of the first French cities to have fiber to the home, and our population, as suppose, as they can test all it's existing now. It's why it's interesting to have agreement with these companies.
So at one point you mentioned the mayor and the importance of your mayor in doing certain things like naming the square, Lafayette Square. The mayor has, and you'll all meet the mayor tomorrow. He's actually going to speak.
This evening to the reception.
Okay, tonight. But he's a very dynamic person. He's also a minister of the government, in addition to being a mayor of the city. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes, he is in the Sarkozy administration as Minister of State for Civil Service. And in France, you can be minister and mayor because the French politicians they are thinking that it is important to keep a local mandate because it's the only way for them to understand really what people are in their mind. So it's why you can be member of parliament and mayor, a minister and mayor, and not president of mayor, but you can be mayor for a long, long time. Mr. Santini is mayor since 30 years. Now.
30 years, yeah.
But is always elected in the first round with 60–70% of the vote. So he's popular.
So I was going to talk about this concept of a tipping point in your community. Can you think about a moment in time when your city changed from being the old city to being the new city? Is there a moment in time when that took place?
Yes, but I'm not sure it is a date. In Issy, we have the culture of innovation. Mm-hmm. You know, for example, you have seen an old image of an old plane. It's why it's because 1 century ago we had the first flight in a round, just to be able to go and to land. And we have orange called France Telecom R&D since 50 years. And so we have a culture of innovation. And Mr. Santini is an innovative man. So for everything we read on the press about everything, he asked to us to have a reflection of if it's possible to create something for the population, for the business, or for the administration. And when we spoke about the internet, I suppose in 93, 94, he asked to us to work about that, and just to think about and to do something. But for example, you have seen the multimedia room. It is the city council room. This multimedia room was created by him at the end of the 18th. So before internet, he knew that the information technology, at least I don't know, communication, video conference, will be important in the future. The new tool of communication will be important in the future. He was also the first to have cable TV in the city. I think since mid-80s, he tried to put the city in the right way of the future.
So my impression was the tipping point was, first of all, having him be elected as mayor back in 1980. I think that was a significant turning point. Another one was this innovation of outsourcing. Can you talk a little bit about that and why you did that and when you did that?
Okay, the story is very simple. When we launched our website, it was in 96. We are the first French city to do that. We organized a press conference and I asked to the informatic team of the city to organize a demonstration. And the manager of this team said, "I'm sorry, but we don't know how to use internet." And at that time, the mayor said, "Wow, it's like the whole locomotive, the railway are looking the TGV, the train high speed in France."
High speed, yeah.
It was exactly the same because this team was totally outside of the movement. And he decided to change that and to outsource the information system. Just to say that it is before that, the informatic team were working about 3 new projects by year with 15 people. And now with the outsourcing system, we are working about 15 projects with 3 people. So it's totally different because to outsource the system, it's easier because you can ask to the company, the private company, to do that for a time, and so they can mobilize people for this task only. So it's a different way, but we are even now the only city in France to do that.
Yeah, that was very impressive and something that certainly caught our eye when we first started looking at your community. That is a very unique thing that you're doing. I have a question about a comment that was made. Somebody had said the reason why Microsoft is in your community or has decided to come to your community is because you're considered an internet city or a cyber city. But also something that caught my eye was the concept that because the mayor is so innovative, they felt very much like that was the community they wanted to be in. Can you talk a little bit about that? And I think that speaks to the politicians in a lot of communities. If they take that extra step and they make themselves known, it's a lot easier for the economic development officials to attract investment to their communities. Talk a little bit about that.
I think it's a mix of all of that, but it is, once again, very important is the role of the mayor, because we are talking with Microsoft about this implementation, I think, since 15 years. Mm-hmm. We met 3 different French CEOs of Microsoft. But the last one, Mr. Santini met, of course, each of them. But the last one is young. He was working in Compact in Issy, Moulineaux. So he knew the city, he knew the dynamic of the city, and knew the mayor. And he was convinced to come in Issy. But it's the same, for example, for Cisco system. Mr. Santini went to the Silicon Valley to meet John Chambers, just to speak with him and to explain that, because he knew that the European headquarters of Cisco system are looking in Paris, in London, in Netherlands or Munich, I don't remember. And John Chambers said after the decision to come in Issy, we are coming in Issy because we went to meet me in US. So I think it is important, and Mr. Santini said always, I am like a VRP, like a business commercial for the city. We have to attract the companies, because in France, you have to know that the taxes from companies are the most important to be a rich community. And in Issy, for example, we have the same taxes for the people since 15 years now.
So one of the key points about being an intelligent community is being able to market. And sometimes we forget that our politicians have a role in marketing. It's not just your economic development officials, it's not just your intermediaries or your advertising. It's by getting the individuals out and building those relationships. And intelligent communities have that kind of a role, and certainly Mayor Santini plays that role very well. I also understand that you have an international program of collaborating with people all around the world. And Sylviane is part of that. Maybe you could talk a little bit about all the different things that go on, from the local collaboration to the international collaboration.
Yes. We think that the most important is the dialogue. We have to dialogue always, every day, and with everyone to understand, to be able to have the right reaction when we are confronted to a problem or to an idea. And we are in the different networks. I spoke about living labs at the European level, but we have also an international association called Global Cities Dialogue on an Information Society. It's an international network of mayors, of about 200 mayors from around the world. And the only job of these networks, it's only to dialogue, to exchange. You know, when, for example, in Issy, you are able to pay the parking with a mobile phone. We are alone in France to do that. But before to implement the system, I was able to call my colleagues from Stockholm, from Helsinki, and from Seoul, because we are also very close to a part of Seoul, just to ask if it's working, what was the reaction of the population, the public, and we decide after that.